Good morning. Today we will see lab program 2A of Design and Analysis of Algorithms Laboratory. The aim of lab program 2A goes something like this. We have to design a superclass called staff with details as staff ID, name, phone, and salary. And using this superclass, we have to now extend this class by writing three subclasses, namely teaching, technical, and contract, wherein teaching has got two attributes or two data members, domain and publications. Technical has skills and contract has another data member, so called as period. So now this program basically gives us an idea of creating superclass as well as a subclass and a type of inheritance involved with this particular superclass as well as the subclass. So we have to now create one superclass, and using that superclass we have to create three subclasses. Forthcoming, we will see what kind of inheritance is this lab program 2A exhibiting. We will have to, after creating this subclass and the superclass, we'll have to write a Java program to read and display at least three staff objects of all the three subclasses or all the three categories. So I'll have to display three objects, read as well as display three objects, at least three. So we restrict to three. Okay, the objects of teaching, three objects of technical, and three objects of or contract has to be read and displayed. So before we go for the program, there are two concepts which we have to know. One is inheritance and the usage of the super keyword. As you all know, inheritance is one of the property in object-oriented programming, wherein it is a property or a mechanism in which one class can acquire the property of another class. Acquire in sense can use. Okay, can use what all? It can use its fields, data members, methods, right? So it can use the property of another class. So as an example, if you take in a real time, a child basically inherits the properties or the rights of his or her parents, right? So a daughter may inherit the property of her father, a son may inherit the property of his mother, right? The same way here, class will now use the property or acquire the property of another class, right? Which is existing. So with inheritance, we can reuse the fields and methods of the existing class. That means to say the new class can use the fields or the members and the methods of the existing class. So here the parent class is called as a superclass, right? The existing class which is already present, that is called as a superclass, and the new class which you create, right? Or the inherited class or the child class which you create is called as a subclass. Or sometimes we call superclass, subclass, or sometimes we call base class, derived class, right? Or sometimes we call parent and the child. So most oftenly we refer to super and subclass. So how do we achieve this concept of inheritance in any OOP language? So in any OOP language, to achieve the inheritance, you will have to follow one syntax. Whereas in Java, we'll have to use a keyword so-called as extends. So you have to use the keyword so-called as extends, by whom? The subclass, right? In order to inherit the features of the superclass. So you have to use the keyword called as extends. So in C++, we use colon, right? Similarly in Java, we have to use the keyword extends. Okay, so henceforth the inheritance facilitates reusability of the code which is there in the parent class. So you need not have to rewrite the code again in the child class. Whatever is there in the parent class, you can reuse it, and it is one of the important concept of OOP, right? Object oriented programming. So next is to know about the types of inheritance. right? There are different types of inheritance, 5 types: single level, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. What is this single level? Single level means to say there's one child class, one parent class. Simple as it is. Multi-level, in terms of levels, you have the child and the parent class. Suppose child is inheriting a property of a parent class. That parent is a derived class to another base class, right? So level, multi-levels we have. Then multiple inheritance is a one wherein a child class will have multiple base classes, right? And hierarchical inheritance is a one wherein you have one base class, multiple derived classes. One base class, multiple derived classes. And hybrid inheritance is a one which is a combination of all the above 4 types of inheritance. Okay, the single, one base class, one derived class. Multi-level, it goes in terms of levels, right? All right. So multiple inheritance, one child class will have multiple parent classes, or one derived class will have multiple base classes. Hierarchical inheritance, we have one parent class but multiple derived classes. Hybrid, combination of all this. So in our program, there should be one of this type of inheritance. We know it is inheritance use. Which type of inheritance? You can see here, we saw there's one base class. What is the base class here? Staff. And we have how many derived classes? 3 derived classes. One is teaching, one is technical, one is contract. So what kind of a inheritance is this? You can see there's one base class, multiple derived classes. So one base, multiple derived classes. Inheritance is what? Hierarchical inheritance. So it is of type hierarchical. So one base class, multiple derived classes. So in our program, we use hierarchical inheritance. Next is, what is the usage of the super keyword? So what is the usage of the super keyword? The keyword super is basically used in inheritance, right? Why it is used? It is used to access any data member or methods of the parent class. So any data member or methods of the parent class, if you want to access in your derived class, you can use the keyword super, right? This super keyword can be used at variable level. That means to say to access any data member of the parent class. It can also be used to access method of a parent class. Also, it can be used to access constructor, that is of the parent class. So it can use to access the base class constructor or a base class method or a base class data member or a variable. So it can be used in all the levels, variable level, method level, as well as the constructor level. So with this knowledge of inheritance, types of inheritance, and the usage of super keyword, we will now move to the program and see how it is to be designed and then executed. Okay, so let us now design the program. So you can see the aim of the program goes like this: to design a superclass called as a called as what? The staff, with the details as staff ID, name, phone, and salary. I'll have to extend this class by writing 3 subclasses, namely teaching, technical, and contract, which has the members called as domain publications, skills within technical, contract, period within the contract. So we'll have to write a Java program to read and display at least 3 staff members of all the 3 categories, 3 staff objects of all the 3 categories. So now to begin with, you can now see here, I'll have to first import the package. So which package I'm just importing? Import java.util.scanner, right? The package I'm just importing as util in order to support input output operations. Okay. So now first we will design a class called as a staff. So what is the staff now? Staff is now the super class. So I'm now designing the super class or the base class, and that base class is now the staff. So staff is my base class, right? So first I design base class, then the super subclasses, then we will write the main program in order to support reading and displaying of 3 staff objects, right? The first is the superclass named as staff. So it has got 4 data members: staff ID, name, phone, and salary. So I've declared those 4 data members here, so called as int staff ID, salary, int staff ID comma salary, 2 data members, name and phone. I am taking it as the string data type, right? Name is of type string, phone is of type string data type. And also I'm now creating an object of the scanner class. Scanner class object here. You can see the scanner class object is now what? Obj is equal to new scanner system.in. So since I'm reading it from the keyboard, so I'll have to write in the argument of the scanner constructor system.in, right? Then in order to facilitate reading, I have included the reading of the members inside a constructor. So this is now a constructor, which is now a 0 argument constructor. And you all know that constructor is a special method which does not have a return type, and the name of the constructor is the same name as that of the class. So I have declared one constructor. And what is the job of the constructor here? I'm trying to initialize, or I'm trying to read the data members of that particular class. So you can see here system.out.println, enter the staff ID. Staff ID is equal to obj. So obj is the object of the scanner class. obj.nextInt. It is an integer, so I have to use the method nextInt. Then similarly, I'm now reading the salary. Salary is equal to obj.nextInt. And next I'm now reading the staff name. Name equals to obj.next. Why? Because name is of type string. So the method associated of reading string is now next. Similarly, I'm now reading the phone number. Phone is equal to obj.next. That is, then this is the end of the constructor. So what am I trying to do here is, whenever the object of the class staff is created, automatically it will now read the data members from the user. You all know that constructor gets invoked automatically when an object is being created. Okay. Next, we have another method here to display, right? So to display, we have a method, right? Declared as void. It doesn't return anything, display. So what am I doing here? I'm just displaying the members. What are the members? The system.out.println, staff ID is staff ID, system.out.println, salary is salary there, name followed with the phone number. And that ends the display class and end of my super class, you can say. So end of the super class. What is a super class? That is the staff. The end of the staff class. Yes. So you can now see that the design of the base class is ready, right? There are several ways to design. One of the way we are just following, wherein we are using the constructor to read the values of the data members, and we are using one method to display. Why? Because the reason is we want to read and display. So we are reading through the constructor and displaying through a method. Okay. Next, we will now design the class, which are the subclasses one by one. Now what is the subclass? The first subclass, you know, is the teaching class. So you all know that. What is teaching class? Teaching class is now subclass of the superclass staff. So I should make it as a subclass. So how do I make it as a subclass? Syntax goes like this. Class teaching, then followed with the keyword extends, then the base class name. So this makes teaching a derived class of the base class staff. Teaching is now the derived class of the base class staff, means to say teaching can now use the property of the staff class. So what is the property of the staff class? It is those members, those methods which are present in the base class, isn't it? So now we have to now design the subclass. So you all know that the subclass contains two members, domain and publication. So I will declare domain and publication of type string. So string is a data type of both domain and publication. Okay. Next again, I'll now create a constructor of the subclass. So constructor name is now what? Teaching, which is the same name as that of the class. Now you can see the teaching class is now accessing the properties of the base class. That means to say teaching can now access or uses, not access, uses the properties. So it also uses the methods, the members and the constructors, whatever are there, it is be using, accessing, using it. Reusing is available. So I have to now use the data members of my base class. So how do I use it? Right? So I'll have to read. Now internally, now teaching subclass is not only having two attributes, two data members, it also has staff ID, name, salary and phone number, which is present in which class? The base class. So I'll have to read those data members. So how did we read the data members in the staff class? Using the constructor. So I should now invoke which class constructor? The base class constructor in order to read the data members of the base class. So how do I invoke? So I invoke that by using the keyword super. So just use super, right? Use the keyword super, open brace and the close brace. That's all. So if I use super in this way, it now calls, which constructor? Calls the base class constructor. Now calls the base class constructor. So which is the base class constructor for me here? Staff. Staff is the base class constructor which will be invoked by super, right? So when it invokes that, you can see it will read all the data members, phone, name, salary and the staff ID. After you read all the data members, you will have to now read the domain and the publication as usual. You can now see system.out.println and enter the domain I have given. Domain is equal to, you can see the usage of super keyword here also. Super dot obj dot next. See, I have not created one more scanner class object here. I will use which is there in the base class. In the base class I have created, you can see scanner obj is equal to new scanner system dot in. That only I will use by using the keyword super. So super dot obj dot next. Yes, open brace, close brace. So I do not have to create one more object of scanner class, which is there in the base. You can use it, no harm, but you have to use super. If you don't use super keyword here, definitely it will tell obj is not defined. So when you use super, it tells the compiler use obj which is present in the super class. Understood? So this is super class there. Super keyword through which we are accessing obj, which is present in the super class so called as staff. Similarly, I'm reading the publication super.obj.next. Yes. Next, I'll have to again have a display method. So I have given display teach. So I'm displaying teach members, right? Teach data members. So I'll write display teach. It's again a method. Again, you can see here, first it should display the base members and then the subclass members. As we did with read, first we read the base class members, then the derived class. Similarly here. Again, which is a method which now displays the base class members? It is display, which is present in which class? Staff class. So how do I access that? Super, again use the keyword super dot display as usual. Super dot display. This will now invoke which method? Display method, which is in which class? That is your staff class. That is a base class, right? So which is now the base class for us. So it will invoke the method, the display, which is there in the base class. So what is that displaying? It will display a staff ID, salary, name, and the phone. Similarly, I will now display the domain here, which is part of my teaching class. Display the publication, which is part of the teaching class. So I've just put one line in order to just decorate the stuffs there, decorate the output, right? End of this, end of, here is my teaching class. So end of the method, and this is the end of the teaching class. Yes. Next, I'll have to again design one more derived class or the subclass named as contract, right? Sorry, technical, named as technical. Again, this also extends staff. It has got one data member called as skills, right? So I have written it as a string of type string. Similarly, we have a constructor here, right? And in the constructor, first I'll have to call the base class constructor. You can see in the constructor, we are now calling the base class constructor by using the keyword super alone, right? This calls the base class constructor. Then what does the base class constructor do? It will read the members of the base class as per our design, right? Similarly, I'll now enter the skills here. Skills is equal to using again the keyword super dot obj dot next. Remember, if you don't use the super here, it will definitely throw an error because it will search for obj in this class, not outside this class. Therefore, since we are using obj defined in our super class, you will have to use super dot obj. Okay. Similarly, now I'll design display method for the technical class, which again calls display method of the super class using super.display, system.out.println skills is displayed, followed with a line, a dotted line, just for formatting purpose. This ends the technical class, technical method of display, and this ends the technical class. Right. Next comes the design of the contract class. Again, contract class is a derived class of this class staff. So which takes one data member so called as period. So you have to use extends as the keyword. Remember, not extend, not singular. It should be a plural one. Then int period, the same thing. We use a zero argument constructor. Again, call the base class constructor to initialize the data members. So why we should initialize the data members of the base class? Because contract is a derived class of your base class. Remember, that's important, right? So it can reuse, it can use the properties. Reusability of code is available using the properties of the base class. So again, we call the base class constructor here. Ask the user to enter the period, again by using the super keyword, access obj object. Then similarly, we have display method for contract. Call the display method of the superclass using the keyword super, then displaying the period, end of the display contract method, and end of the contract class. Next of session, the second half of this program is designing our main class. So public, the keyword public class, as I've told, we use the syntax of using the name for the program, that is PGM2B, right? Sorry, PGM2A, it is PGM2A, second A2A program. So public static void main string args is your main method. So in the main method, I have just a menu driven program. So declared one variable ch as a choice, asking the user the choice whether he wants to read teaching objects or whether he wants to read technical objects or he wants to read contract objects. So menu driven program it is. So SOBJ, now SOBJ again here is an object of the scanner class. In order to read the choice, don't tell me can we use super, no, you cannot use super here. Why? Because PGM2A is not derived class of the staff class. So you have to create your own object of the scanner class here. I'll read the choice. After reading the choice, use a switch case statement. Switch of ch, the open brace, then the case 1. So case 1 here now corresponds to which category? Teaching category. Since the program tells you that you have to read at least 3 objects, so I'll now create array of objects. So how do you create array of objects? You all know that. To create the array of objects, first you will have, there are 2 steps, isn't it? First you will have to create array of references, then you will have to allocate the memory, right? So first create array of references. So here you can see T is of type teaching, which can hold 3 objects, addresses of 3 objects. Why have I defined only 3? Because they have told at least 3. So I have just defined 3 just for illustration purpose. 3. It can be more than 3 but not less than 3. So 3 I have taken. So this T is now is a pointer to array of references or array of pointers which can hold objects of type teaching. This is first step while creating array of objects, right? What is the next step? Next step, what should you do? You should initialize it with an object. So how do you do it? By using the constructor. So you can now say, you have written a for loop here. For int I equals to 0, I less than t dot length. So what does t dot length give me? It gives me the length of t. That is how much is the size of t. So size of t is what now? 3. For I equals to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus, right? System.out.println, enter teaching details of I plus 1. So because I is starting with 0, right? So enter the teaching details of I plus 1, I'll give, and call the constructor. So T of I. So what is I ranging from? I ranges from 0 to T dot length. So what is T dot length? 3. You can directly write 3, no harm. But just to know what is the usage of this length, which is called as a property, I'm using this. Okay. T of I is equal to new teaching. So when I give such a statement, where does the control jump to? The control immediately jumps to the constructor of which class? Teaching class. The control comes to here. The constructor of the teaching class. So inside the constructor of the teaching class, I have called the base class constructor along with the two members being read of the derived class. So I'm calling both. I'm reading both the data members of super as well as the derived class. So it will read both the data members of the super as well as the derived class. So understood? So you have to first initialize it, create the array of references, then initialize it with the object of teaching by calling its constructor. So when you are calling the constructor here, automatically in the constructor, we have designed to read the data members of both base as well as the derived class. Next, I have to print it, very simple as it is. So I'll print one line, the details are. So formatting, as I told you, it is left to your convenient. So the details are, I have print. So again, to print the detail, it's an array of objects. So I'll have to print one by one using the indexing concept, right? So which method should I call? Again, the method which is there in teaching, which is that method which displays, that is display teach. So T of I dot display teach. So where does the control go here? Again, it will go to display teach, and you can see in display teach, I'm calling display of the superclass staff and also displaying the derived class data members. Both it has been done, and give a break statement. That will happen for every I ranging from 0 to t dot length. Once it is done, it will break out of that particular case. Similarly, we have case 2 and case 3, which creates 3 objects of technical, right? We call the constructor, wherein in constructor we are reading the details, and then we again display by calling the function display technical. So case 2 corresponds to technical class. Similar wise, we have for case 3, that is the contract class. Again, we create contract class with a length of 3, array of objects with a length of 3, and read the details of the contract class objects by invoking the respective constructor, right? And then display the contract class object by calling the method display contract, right? So using the formula. If you read any case other than 1, 2, 3, default, any other number you give, default case I have written system.out.println, it is the invalid option. So this is the end of the switch case, right? And this will be the end of main function, right? And this will be the end of the class, end of the main class. Okay, so you will have to just remember here. See, there are different ways to do reading. Also, you can have separate read function, right? You can simply call the constructor, just default constructor. Then you can have read function here, read one function, display one function. But just to illustrate the concept of super keyword, so you can see I have illustrated all the 3 usage of super. Using super, I am accessing the base class constructor. Using super, I'm accessing the base class method. Using super, I am accessing the base class member also. See, obj is base class member, isn't it? It is a member of a base class, which is an object of the scanner class. So that's the reason we are declaring, I am reading the members inside the constructor in order to provide the usage of super in all the levels. One under constructor level, one under method level, one under variable level or the member level, right? So you can see super dot obj. Let us now execute. Let us now execute the program. Okay, so is some error. I think I have missed the semicolon in the program. So I can use, I have to add the semicolon here. Okay. After adding the semicolon, just execute it. So I'll be just showing for one case, the rest all is the same. So enter the category. Say for example, I enter the first category, teaching. The teaching will have how many data members? Staff ID, staff name, phone number, then salary with publications and domain, right? So let us see. So enter teaching details of first one. Okay, we have taken 3 objects, right? 1, 2, 3. So first one is this. So staff ID. Let me enter some staff ID. So 121. Salary. Some salary I'll enter. Staff name. Some staff name, right? Phone number. Again, some phone number there. Right? The domain. So the domain which I am interested, say I am interested in the domain so called as say algorithms. So I'll just say I'm interested in the domain algorithms. Okay, the publication. So I have put my publication, something called as IEEE. So I have published one paper in IEEE, something like that. Next, it should ask the teaching details of the second of teaching person. So staff ID, say I gave 124. Salary, so something like this. I give the staff name. So let me give something like this. Try to give valid inputs. Don't give ABC, DEF like that. Phone number, you can give some random numbers, not an issue. Right? Then the domain. Say she is the person is interested in digital, say signals, something. Right? The publication. So you will have to again enter the publication. So after entering the publication, again the next object will be read, the staff ID number, the salary, and then the staff name, phone number, the domain. So for example, they're interested in programming. I'll just put that. Publication, say they have published its paper in something called as IJERT. So now once you enter all the details, it should display the concept of your details of the teacher, whatever you have entered. So you can see staff ID 121, salary, name, phone number, domain, the publication. Okay. So 124 salary, digital publication, something signals it has been taken. So since I've used for reading string int, right? So it will read only one word, right? It will read only one word. That's the reason I could not read publication here. So it come to single, not an issue, right? So use only one word. Since we have used the method next, isn't it? obj.next. So you'll have to read it. Similar wise, you can read the second option, that is for the second option is for what? Technical, right? And contract. So you might wonder, what should I give in technical? So technical, you can give, the technical staff is skilled with what? He is skilled with hardware or programming, or you can give particular programming language, right? And contract period is the number of years is under contract. That also you can give. So I'll run the program again. For contract, I'll just do. Okay, for third contract, can you see staff ID comes, Then the salary. From salary we'll give staff name. Okay. Right, the phone number, the period. So she is under contract for how many periods? So say for example 3. Okay, similarly again read the staff ID, the salary, the name, right, the phone number, and the period. So she for there for 5 years, right? Contract period is 5 years, so 5 months. I'm not specifying the unit. It can be anything there. Okay, the staff ID, let's see 126. Again the salary. Okay, the staff name is something like this, right? The phone number, the period. Say for example it's 2. Okay, so you can see it displays the details. The details are staff ID and the period, right? So similarly it will display. Same ways you can also work for the option 2 with respect to the class called as technical. So technical skills you have to enter. So skills is what? Say he or she is well versed in C programming, C++, Java, Oracle, something like that. You can give us skills. So hope you have understood the program. Go through the program. You will have a clear clarity of the once again. Thank you.